My name is Kimberly Ewer, and I'll be doing my teaching demonstration on the second question, which is explain the concept of standard deviation and find the sample deviation of a real-life scenario using 3 data sets. And the definition of standard deviation is the measure of how much data values deviate away from the mean. And we'll be using this formula with our 3 problems, which is sigma, which is standard deviation, uppercase sigma is sum of, x is each of the values in the dataset, x bar is the mean, and n is the number of data points that you have. So how you would say this is to get standard deviation, take the square root of the sum of the x minus the mean squared for each sample value, divided by the number of sample values minus 1. And then I have 4 steps to help us go through each of these 3 problems. So step 1 I have is calculate the mean of the data, which you would add up all of the numbers and divide by the total number of data points that you have. And for the second step that I have subtract the mean from each data point, then square your answer. So don't worry when you're subtracting the mean from each data point, if you get a negative number, that's okay, because when you square something, it's going to make it positive either way. So you don't have to worry about that. And for the third step I have is get the sum of all the answers. So all of those that you did in step 2, you're going to have a list of those and you're going to add all of those up. And finally, for step 4, you're going to take the square root of the sum that you got in step 3 and take the square root of that and divide it by the number of data points subtracted by 1, which is putting it into your formula. So then I'll get the 3 problems for you. So the first problem I have is Jim has 9 cookies. Each cookie has a different number of chocolate chips. Here's your data. So then here I have all your data points that you have, and like I said, for your first step you need to calculate your mean. So then for your mean, you would add up all of your data points and get 117. And then you take that 117 and divide by 9, which gives you 13. And then as I was saying in the second point is you take each data point and you subtract it by your mean. And I already did the calculations, and so I got 16 for 9, and for 12 I got 1, for 25 I got 144, for 4 I got 81, for 12 I got 1, for 7 I got 36, for 18 I got 25, for 11 I got 4, and for 19 I got 36. So then once you get all these, you have to add all of your sums up to get your 1. So then this equals, your sum equals 344. And then you're not done there. You have to plug all of that in to your equation, which would be standard deviation equals the square root of 344, your sum, and then however many data points you have. In this case, we have 9. 9 minus 1, which equals, I got 6.56. And that's your answer for number 1. I'll move on to number 2. Okay, number 2 is Bob played 6 basketball games. The number of points scored each game is shown below. So then here you got your different points. And so your first step would be to find your mean. And so you would add each of your data points up to get 116. and then you would take the 116 and divide by however many data points you have, which is 6. And I got 19.13. And then you would take each of those data sets and you would subtract by 19.3 your mean. And I did those calculations, and I got, for 19, I got 0.09. For 10, I got 86.49. For 15, I got 18.49. And for 24, I got 22.09. And for 30, I got 144.49. And finally, for 18, I got 1.69. So in like our first problem, what we would do is to get your sums, you would add all of these up that you got to get your sum, which I got as 273.34. So that's your sum for all of these. And then you have to put that into your equation. And your equation is standard deviation equals the square root of 273.34, which is your sum there, over however many data points you have, which this one we have 6 minus 1, and I got all of this equaling 7.4. So then that would be your answer for number 2. And then finally, we have one more. Okay, and the last one is Jerry plays baseball for the Giants. The number of home runs he hit each season is shown below. And so you have your data points here. And what you have to do first is you find your mean. So you add all of your points up to get 151. And you take the 151 and divide by the number of points you have, which is 6 in this case. So I got 25.2 as my mean. And then you take each data point and you'd subtract it by your mean, which is 25.2. And I have the calculations. For 30, I got 23.04. For 25, I got 0.04. For 20, I got 27.04. And for 13, I got 148.84. And then for 29, I got 14.44. And for 34, I got 77.44. And then so you would add all of these up to get your sum. You add all of these equals your sum, which I got as 290.84. And then finally, you have to put that into your equation, which is standard deviation equals the square root of 290.84 over the number of data points, which is 6, minus 1. And I got this equaling 7.6. That's my final answer for number 3. Thank you so much for watching.